Good day, OA. My name is Lionel Garcia, and I'm your VP of Sales and Agent Development here at Outside Agents. And I am excited to present to you today this week's Motivation Monday. But before I do, as I promised you, we do have a special guest, and I'm excited to present to all of you Mr. Stephen Navididian. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, so Stephen, I know you've had a pretty busy last, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So where are you right
now? I'm home finally. I left my house on April 8th, I think it was, and I got home yesterday. So it was a long time to be away, but I'm glad.
Oh my goodness. So what did you do during that time?
So I flew to Miami. I met with my friend, fellow OA agent, Frank Yergatian, and we boarded MSC World America for the christening and inaugural on the 9th. We were there from the 9th to the 12th. Great event. Had a great time. Loved seeing the new ship. Got off the 12th, went to a hotel, and then met up with my other OA agent friend, Garrett Crucifer, and we boarded Norwegian Aqua on the 13th, and we're there for their christening and inaugural.
That's awesome.
And so that was 3 days. I stayed on. Then Norwegian Aqua, a friend of mine, joined me, and I was on the 5-day sailing. So that was 8 days on there. Then I that friend that met me went back to her house in the Tampa area for like 5 days. And then since that wasn't enough, and I already had a personal cruise planned, I boarded Royal Caribbean Wonder of the Seas last Sunday and got off yesterday. So really the whole spectrum of the probably 3 of the top suppliers that I sell: Royal Caribbean Group, Norwegian Cruise Line, and
I love it. Well, you have a few fans, a few people have been here. So Christina's saying hello to you.
Hello.
Melvudi is saying hello. We also have Deb Masano here also. Jane, and by the way, Deborah's also calling you a very busy guy.
Well, she was pretty busy herself. She just spent 45 days at sea on Holland America, so she's been a busy gal herself. But
as we do every week, we go over the wins of the week. So I want to kind of share with you. So while I'm telling mine, I would love for you, Stephen, to think about your wins of the week, anything that you want to share. It could be personal, it could be professional. Those of you watching, I know we have a few of you on right now, so that's awesome. If you want to comment what your wins are, I would love to share them as well. And if we don't see them now, you will see them in the replay. But for me, personally, my wins of the week this past week, we got away with the family and went to Tampa. Had a chance to do a pop-up church for Elevation Worship. Had a pop-up church experience out in Tampa. That was really neat. Plus just getting away with the kids and the family, the 4 of us, was really nice. I want to tell you professionally, I love, and my win of this week, and it always is the same first week of the month, the OA neighborhood comes to life when I share the movers and shakers of the month. I love, like big capital letters, LOVE, how you all support each other and shout each other out and get each other's backs, and how if you've made the list, you're also shouting out the other agents that helped lift you to get you there. Man, this is my favorite week of the month, is when I promote those movers and shakers. That is awesome. And so kudos to all of you who made the list. Also kudos to those of you who made the top of the list. And so I would love, Stephen, what's your win for the week?
Well, for me, cruising last week and the past few weeks on and off, being able to decompress a bit and reconnect with clients, I felt for a while, my month of December was insanely busy, probably one of the busiest months I had. And, everyone said, oh, January wave season, you're going to be just as busy. And I wasn't, and I was okay with that. But it also kind of put me in a place where I deflated quickly and I wasn't feeling connected. So, after some, I guess, self-reflection and whatnot, it was good to travel again and be away and just reconnect with clients. And I needed that. And everyone needs that, because you have to have a balance. You can't constantly be working, at least I can't, and you can't constantly be traveling, or disconnected. I mean, but that's me.
I love that. I'm glad you got to get away. It seemed like it was a long time, but I know we kind of stayed in touch the whole time through. And
we did.
You did a lot of learning while you were there, so that was also beneficial to you.
Yeah, even though I travel, I don't disconnect. I mean,
a few more people wanted to say hi. So this is Josh from the office. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
And Barbara Foster was saying hello as well. I think Christina was tongue in cheek with this one, that she's never busy. I think she always is. Liana Bell, she's saying hi from the Encore. This is awesome. I think this is our most watched live. So Stephen, I'm going to give you kudos to this, because obviously they don't only come to see me. They want to be motivated. But I think when I mentioned you were coming, they got super excited. But so Christine Turman, her win is that she did her first bridal show yesterday. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think, Christina, you may have shown this on Facebook or shared it in the neighborhood. So kudos to you. That's awesome. That's a great next step. So that's awesome. And Barbara, hey, that's good. I'm glad that you like that. I'm doing that motivate the movers and shakers. I think that's awesome. And this is so neat. And then now we even have Tammy chiming in from Orlando. So kudos to everyone. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing your win. Now, as I promised, we were going to talk about motivational stories. And so I thought about this, and that's part of the reason why we invited you, Stephen, was to talk about maybe a little bit of your path, your journey into this industry, but just to kind of set the stage for a motivational story. I found this online, and I thought it was really, really kind of special to see this type of story. And I know you could read it, but I'm going to read it out loud. A professor gave a balloon to every student who had to inflate it, write their name on it, and throw it in the hallway. That professor then mixed up all the balloons and told the students that they had 5 minutes to find their own balloon. But despite their searching, no one found their own balloon. And so at that point, the professor told the students to take the first balloon they find and hand it to the person whose name is written on it. And interestingly enough, within 5 minutes, everyone had their own balloon. And the lesson the professor was trying to teach here is that these balloons are like happiness. And we will never find happiness if everyone's looking for their own. But if you care about other people's happiness, we'll find ours too. And I thought that this kind of like hit me when I was preparing for this week's Monday Motivation. And I was thinking about, man, this is so important, how we sometimes only see what's right in front of us. A lot of times we even live on our own little islands, or we may feel like we're on our own islands. And that's why I love the fact that, Stephen, you volunteered to be on with us today. Why I love the positivity that lives in the neighborhood when it does live in there, because I have seen it, is that when we look to take care of others, we all rise, right? And so to me, I think this has the we could play on this for happiness, but we could also use this even in the work environment when it looks like we could work together better as a team and all rise instead of just looking out for our own behind. So, well, how does this ring for you, Stephen?
Well,
anything that kind of tells?
I mean, that's true in that for me, when a client gets back to me after a trip or just before a trip, and they thank me for everything I've done to make the trip special for them, that's encouraging. That it activates, I guess, what is the word, endorphins, where you become happy yourself. So you're not going to necessarily only find your own happiness, but if you can find happiness and other people's happiness, then that's fulfilling as well. So
I love that.
That's how I take that. So and just be aware that everything is not always going to be perfect. So I mean, there's going to be bumps along the road, and don't let that get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. necessarily by that, but
Yeah,
that's what
I,
I'm
I think
doing.
I love how Barbara summarized this, and this is what I was thinking of, and I couldn't come up with it. I knew I was going to butcher it, but she wrote it in here for us, so that's great. All boats are lifted on a rising tide, and I do think that that is
Sure.
so true, to lift one another. I wanted to give another shout out to Christine. Jane is saying kudos to you. Tammy is also saying that, congratulations for what you did. So that's awesome. And we still keep getting more people coming in and saying hello. So this is exciting. All right. So now I want to jump in to your story, Stephen.
Nice
So
point.
tell me, how did you know you want to get into this business?
I
Because,
well, I didn't. So
okay,
we could if we go back all the way to my childhood when I would go to I lived in a small town, go up to the town area with my mom. She would go into the card store and I would walk into the travel agency next door and ask for brochures and booklets. And they didn't want to give them to me. Who's this kid walking in, asking, like, he's not going to book travel. And finally my mom had to come in and say, no, give him, let him have those books. He likes reading and learning about, different places and different things. And, I promise when we book something, we'll come back and book with you. And I mean, we didn't book with them, but it allowed me to get booklets. So I said, I would look at all these cruise booklets, and part of that, came from that TV show Love Boat, which everybody loved, and it kind of put cruising out there. And I just said to myself, I'm going to do that someday. But when it came time, fast forward, and I was making my decision what to study in college, travel was not in my radar. I mean, I went the business route and studied accounting and went that route and got my degree in accounting and worked 25 plus years in private industry as a corporate controller for various industries, the car industry, and then the restaurant hospitality industry. And then when I was 50, I decided I wanted a change. So just to back up a little, of a close, the sister of a close family member, not a blood relative. She was at my family travel agency, and she sent me on my first cruise and got my family. I was just out of college at that time, and she had said to me, you'd really be very good at this, but stick to accounting because you'll make more money. I mean, this was
right.
back in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know what kind of money travel agents were making back then, but that was her advice, and I stuck with it. But she's like, you know exactly what you want, and she's like, so you would be like great at this, but I didn't, and I went accounting and did it for many years. And
Hold on. I have to stop there real quick just because
sure.
Josh chimed in here that he had a similar start, and he's been with OA now for 20 years, 20 plus years. But it's funny enough that
Planning
yeah.
dream trips at 5. Yeah, I was probably between 5 and 10 at the time. I'm like, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna cruise the Mexican Riviera. I'm gonna cruise the Caribbean. I'm gonna go to Alaska and do all
So
these
so
things.
then you said you're 50 at
I
50
was
years of age.
50.
You're
I
like,
was on my I went on a cruise for my 50th birthday on Norwegian Epic with friends and family, and I just said to myself, I don't want to keep doing accounting work. I'm tired of worrying about managing other people's money and businesses and from a financial perspective, and it wasn't something I wanted to do anymore. But I knew at that age, like, what am I going to possibly do? So I looked at travel as something that I could gradually step into, something that would maybe make me a little extra money, and that when I someday retired from accounting, that I could continue working and do this, but on a much smaller scale. I never envisioned it to be a full-time job. And it quickly became that. I was doing 2 full-time jobs, and I had to decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to stick with accounting that I've done for the last 25 plus years, or do I want to go into travel? And I made the decision that doing travel was making me happy and doing accounting wasn't. So
I
I resigned January 2020 from my accounting job, and then the world shut down due to COVID. And those businesses that I worked for, sadly, didn't recover from COVID. So I would have been out of work. So I made the right
So
choice.
I want to know, because I think you said we were talking, it was probably 7, maybe 8 years ago
Yeah,
that we touched base with our paths crossed. You
sure.
came to a boot camp, which is now called Kickstart, and
Right.
you were sitting in the front row, or pretty close to the front row, and I was
Probably.
there
And you were
presenting
there and talking about Oz Amazing Evenings. And I
about
was
us
like,
amazing evenings and the
I was like, this
ungoogleable
is,
events, and
I was like,
and
this is so cool.
and so that was about 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You at that point, did you already commit that you were going to do this job full time, the travel agency
No,
business full time?
that I was still fairly new. I
Okay,
knew that I had to go to training. I mean,
got it.
some people can watch a training video, can read about a destination or a product, and be very good at selling it. For
Yeah.
me, I knew, since I especially didn't have a sales background, that I needed to go to training, and I made the decision. Since I still had my full-time job, that my vacation time was going to be the time to invest in my business and go to training. So I foregoed going on vacations and made the investment in me.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, it was sometime right after that Kickstart, your boot camp, you went into the advanced training also, right?
Yeah, probably within 6 months, I went to advanced and then did probably luxury and groups or one of those. And but I knew that that's what I needed, because I felt that's what gave me my baseline for where I went, where the direction I wanted to go.
And I know if you're watching this, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, he had this or he had that. But I think everyone's story could be different. Everyone's path is different.
Yeah,
And Steve, you're really aware of that. But one of the things you shared with me when we were talking also is that you were fortunate in the sense that you were single, no
right,
spouse,
yeah,
no
yeah. So
kids.
yeah,
So
so
you could
that's
really
not going to
give
work
yourself
for everyone. Yeah, that's not going to necessarily work for everyone. For me, since I'm single and no attachments, it was easy to make the decision. I'm not going on vacation. I'm going to go to training and invest in me. Not everyone has that ability to do that. And I understand that, and I think everyone understands that. But try to make the time. If you really feel you're struggling out there and are not advancing in your business, put some time into personal training and connecting, networking with other agents. We have a great community of agents here with Outside Agents, and I'm feel so fortunate to have met so many of you and connected with many of you, as well as connect with the our business development managers, strategic account managers, whatever you want to call them.
There was something you mentioned to me, and I think you just kind of highlighted it now. But one of the things, what are some of your biggest takeaways that you benefited yourself and your business because of the trainings that you did, because of the involvement that you had? Because you really made an effort to get super involved and zoned into what you wanted to do to build your travel business. But you mentioned something you just said about the networking. But one of the things I wrote down was just the support from peers and other agents from
Yeah,
going.
it's to me, it was important to network with other agents so that if you're stuck and you don't know how to proceed, um, you have someone else to contact. That, I mean, obviously OA has the mentor program as well, but also agents that are out there selling what you're doing or selling other products that you're not doing can often be a good resource. But just understand that you should always do your own research too, so
Yeah,
that you can't necessarily always rely on someone to help you. Like, do your research, and then if you need help, ask for it, and people will be there to help.
I love that. Well, Stephen, I really appreciate you sharing your story. I'm excited that I kind of knew you when, and
Yeah,
I know you
you do.
now,
You know
and
me
I
now.
love
Yeah,
that we're on the same team now. Also, is super exciting. I
yeah,
want to close with the quote of the day, like I do every Motivation Monday. We end with a quote of the day. This week is going to be one of James Clear. As I mentioned to you before, I follow his newsletter called 321. So if you want to subscribe to his newsletter, you should. I think you'll find it super inspiring. but I have a quote. But before I go to the quote, I just want to remind anybody, if you have questions you want to ask me, if you have questions you want to ask away, if you have questions you want to ask Stephen, feel free to put them into the chat, and we will respond in kind. So here is the quote. I think is pretty awesome. Everything blooms in this. Not everything blooms in the spring. Your season might just be autumn. So keep going. I think sometimes we want to see the reaction or the response or the.
And I think that though, yeah, that's very true though. I mean, like everyone will say, "Oh, wave season will be your busiest season." It may or may not be, and that's okay.
Well, look for you. Your biggest month last year was December. One of your biggest months was December, and that's usually a lot of people's worst months.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
So just understand, what your when your busy times tend to be, and that's it. Really, it's okay that you're busier when everyone else is not, and you're not when it's when however your business. Everyone's business is going to be a little different.
And that's just referring it to business. But the truth is, again, what I love about what we're trying to do here is just kind of think outside of the business box sometimes and realize that really our season, it could be professional season, it could be personal season. It doesn't matter. It may be, it doesn't have to be when we want it. It's going to be in due time. And your season may just be the next one. I want to close with just some positive words. Here, Karen is thanking you for all the things that you do. So kudos. Katie is saying thank you for this and what you shared. Katie also loves the quote, which is fantastic. And Jane also had a really great wave season. And so, yeah, everyone kind of has their own, your own things. And here's another kudos to you, Stephen, from Jesse, just appreciating you and your willingness to share. So that is our Motivation Monday. It was a little bit longer than normal, but thank you, Stephen, so much for
thank you for that
and joining. Thank you, all of those of you who watched. And if you're watching the replay, please feel free to chime in, add your comments, ask your questions. We're gonna answer them as quickly as we can. So with that, I wish you all a phenomenal week, and I'll see you again next week at our Motivation Monday. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.